Okay, the first thing that annoys me a little bit about this camera is the zoom ring on the front of it is not proportional to anything. It's basically, it measures how fast you're turning it and then pushes this button, the zoom in, zoom out button, in whatever step it deems is best. So, to give you an example of what I'm trying to talk about, if I turn this thing slowly, it would take like maybe 3 or 4 revolutions, like complete revolutions of the zoom ring to zoom all the way in from all the way out to all the way in. I don't know about you, but I have a hard time going around the lens like 3 times in a very smooth manner, whereas if you move it fast, I could zoom out, like I could zoom in from all the way out to almost all the way in half a turn. The way that it should work, or the way that would be nice to work, is if it was like a SLR lens where if you turn it a certain amount of degrees, it zooms in a certain amount, and it's always the same amount. So like, say all the way out to all the way in was half a turn, then you could just go to the point that you want it and it would zoom into that point. Okay, so my next annoyance is the button on front. If you press it, it'll turn the camera from automatic to manual, and then if you press it again, it goes through the menu at the bottom, left through right, and the shutter value that it will use is whatever it pre-measures for your current environment. So if you hit it again, it goes to the iris, which also pre-measures, and if you hit it again, it minimizes everything, but it has turned on your shutter and your iris lock. So I guess if you want to lock your exposure really quick, you can just hit that button a whole bunch of times and it does it. But you have no choice. If you click through the menu with that button all the way through, it's going to hard lock, or it's going to hard code your shutter and your iris. There's no way to close the menu with that button without going through all the way through it, or I guess you could touch the screen. So I find myself not using that button at all. I just use the screen commands because then I can go straight to what I want. You cannot turn on an iris value and leave shutter set to automatic. It'll hard code the shutter at whatever it's at when you turn on iris. So, and if you reset the shutter, it disables the iris lock. So iris is back to automatic now that I've set the shutter. So you can go full manual, and you can go shutter priority, but you can't go iris priority. I don't know why not. It seems like something that could have changed pretty easily. To turn off the hard-coded values, the only way that I've been able to figure it out is to set the camera to automatic and then turn it back off to manual. And now it's in sort of programmable automatic. For some reason, color night record, which is available in 2 spots in manual, it is available all the way to the right, this little guy, that turns on color night record. The only problem is you have to manually turn it off. You can't turn off manual mode. You can't, like, say you're in color night record and you want to quickly go to automatic. You can't press the automatic button. It disables pretty much everything. So you have to manually turn off color night recording, and now I can go to automatic mode. I don't know why. The automatic mode cancels everything except color night recording. It's kind of strange. Okay, the next thing that bothers me is that, say we turn a scene on, we're in manual mode, we turn a scene to, you know, whatever, fireworks. Now we're in fireworks mode. I hit record. I can't turn fireworks mode off. I can go through this and I can change some of the features. These would be enabled if I wasn't in fireworks mode. But I can't go to menu. I can't change the audio gain. There's a lot of other settings I can't change. I can switch it to automatic mode, and if I toggle back to manual, my scene mode is gone. I can't turn it back on. So you have to pause recording in order to adjust the scene and in order to adjust the audio gain. And that's really kind of irritating when you would rather capture whatever it is that's happening. Okay, the next thing that is annoying is that time-lapse requires the camera not to be set to relay video to the secondary memory card. If it overflows, it can't be, that relay mode can't be turned on. You have to be set to 12x optical zoom. You can't be intelligent zoom or digital zoom or anything like that. And it doesn't work in night record mode. Also, the thing that bothers me is the increments here. It goes from 1 second to 2 minutes. The most frequent range that I would want would be maybe one picture every half a second, one picture every second, one picture every 2 seconds, all the way up to 10 seconds. I don't know why you just can't like set it to an arbitrary value. That would be the best. So the choice of time-lapse timing is very, very limited. And the camera doesn't sleep in between. So if you set it to 1 minute or 10 seconds or 30 seconds, the camera stays on the whole time. So if you're on the battery, it'll last as long as it does as if you were recording. The last thing that bothers me is that there's no 720p mode. This camera shoots 60 frames a second at 1080p, which is really nice, except for the fact that no media supports that. You can play it back on a computer, and you can play it back on a TV through the computer or through the cable. If the file is on the camera, you can play it back, but you can't upload it anywhere at 1080p. The only place, the only media that supports 60 frames a second is all 720, but the camera won't convert to 720, and neither will the software that comes with the camera. So you have to do it using a third-party tool if you want 60 frames a second on portable media. 60 frames a second is still useful if you want to use it for slow motion or things like that, or not have interlaced frames, but then you still have to convert it down to 30 frames per second somehow, somewhere, in some software. The face recognition feature does not work very well. It recognizes faces, like when it sees a face, but the person that it identifies is almost never right for me.